have made a blockbuster trade to acquire Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about 5 teams that might be interested in trading for Ezekiel Elliott. This is serious. Look at that, 100-year cap. Cap mode time, all right? So this is gonna be a fun video, guys. This is gonna be fun. I did a little, I guess you could say it's almost like a skit. I do have an alter ego. Ivan Rappaport will be reporting some possible trades that could happen between Ezekiel Elliott, the Dallas Cowboys, and 5 teams, like I said, okay? So let's get right into it. Let's get right to the first news. All right, here we go. All right. Good evening, Joe. This is Ivan Rappaport reporting to you exclusive. All right, so I do have breaking news to you and all the viewers out there. We all have been on Zeke watch, and I have the breaking news here. I just received a text from Ezekiel Elliott's agent, and the Miami Dolphins have jumped on this. They're making moves here. They're going to try to be competitive there in the AFC, and you know, it's a tough division. Patriots, Jets. And now, you know, they're going to try to match up Josh Rosen with Ezekiel Elliott there in the backfield and become competitive overnight. Now, what did they give up? They gave up, the Dolphins gave up first-round pick and their packaging safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick, to the Cowboys. Cowboys been saying they've been feeling good about safety all off-season with Xavier Woods and Jeff Heath. You know, they saw a couple things in camp and they decided to, you know, go ahead and upgrade that position. Fitzpatrick out of Alabama. Cowboys have an affinity for Alabama's program. They feel good about this trade. Fitzpatrick probably coming in here to immediately become a starter next to Xavier Woods. So that is the trade details of that. Okay, now wow, blockbuster trade has happened. All right. So in that first trade scenario, it's the Dolphins stepping up. Okay, the Dolphins could have interest, and you know, that could be the option there. You know, safety. Possible other player that might be interested would be like a Charles Harris. Cowboys had interest in him during the draft process. Another defensive end isn't really catching on with the Dolphins. Kind of like the same vein as you know, Taco Charlton. These guys were scouted by the Cowboys, and neither of them have done much for the Cowboys. But if you can get a safety in Minkah, that would be a good one, okay? Let's get on to the next news here. Who's breathing over there? Please leave the room here. I can hear your breathing, all right? Let's try it again. All right, here we go. Are we on? Here we go. All right, guys, I can report to you that the Detroit Lions have acquired Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys for first-round pick and running back Kerryon Johnson. All right, the Cowboys did have interest in Kerryon Johnson when he came out a year ago. He is now with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, they Cowboys scouted him during his draft, and now they have him in the backfield coupled with Tony Pollard. It's not Ezekiel Elliott, but it is a formidable backfield now. All right, now if the Cowboys don't feel happy about how this season progresses at the back position, they can turn around, and there will be some good backs coming out in the 2020 draft. So Cowboys rolling the dice. You know, this is the Stephen Jones show. All right, they dug in. They didn't make the contract. Zeke had 2 years left on his contract, and the Lions have picked him up, which is you know, something that we didn't expect the Lions to jump in here with Bob Quinn. He comes from a Patriots, you know, background. They don't make these kinds of deals, you know, giving up draft picks, high picks particularly. So interesting move by GM Bob Quinn and the Ford family there in Detroit. Now, the interesting note here, the Lions, they do have a new offensive coordinator. I think this was maybe spearheaded by him, Darrell Bevell, okay, the offensive coordinator from the Lions. If you remember, he had all those successful seasons there with the Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch, and that physical running attack. They want to, you know, set that similar type of attack here for, you know, Stafford. You know, let him pass the ball, but let's showcase the running back, similar to what the Seahawks did there with Marshawn Lynch, and let them, you know, be physical and try to take over games, okay? So Lions moved in here for Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys picked up a running back with a first-round pick. So big news coming out of Detroit and Dallas tonight.
Back to you.
All right, so Detroit Lions, this was the next possible trade scenario here. This one is pretty fun. You do get your first round pick. In all these scenarios, you're getting your first round pick for 2020. This one, you're still getting your running back. All right, so you're Kerryon Johnson. This is another player the Cowboys met with, obviously. This would be another possible trade. They have the cap space, so that's what that one was, okay? Let's go on to the next trade scenario.
All right, Ivan Rappaport reporting to you. All right, I have breaking news. This is the blockbuster of all blockbusters. The Tennessee Titans have been rumored to be interested in, upgrading their offense. They made a move here. They have acquired Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys. This is a trade that nobody really saw coming, but it kind of does make sense. Now, what did the Tennessee Titans give up to get Ezekiel Elliott? They gave up a first-round pick, and they're trading away Harold Landry, defensive player for the Titans. Interesting note here, Cowboys had Harold Landry high on their chart. He was a 30 visit back when he came out in the draft. So Cowboys had their eye on him, gives them a little bit more depth there on the defensive line. The Titans had him as an outside linebacker, 3-4, but Cowboys like him as an edge rushing type of defensive end. Had high production there at Boston College. This looks like a marriage made in heaven for the Cowboys defense. Rod Marinelli gets another piece to rush the quarterback. All right, we still don't know what's going to happen with Randy Gregory, but we do now know that they will have Harold Landry in the mix there with DeMarcus Lawrence, Robert Quinn, Tristan Hill, the first-round pick. So a very interesting move here by the Titans. Vrabel wants to be more physical. Now, the good thing about the Titans, they did keep Derrick Henry. They didn't give him up. So it's going to be a good 1-2 punch for the Tennessee Titans. We're talking about Derrick Henry and now Ezekiel Elliott with Marcus Mariota. There's no excuse now. They need to find out if Mariota can get it done here with this explosive backfield. So we'll see what happens there. So big news coming out of Tennessee and the DFW area. Ezekiel Elliott traded to the Tennessee Titans. All right, so that was the Tennessee Titans. Okay, so Tennessee Titans making a move. Cowboys get a player that they also scouted in Harold Landry. So that one would do good for the Cowboys if they're trying to trade Ezekiel Elliott. If a deal can't be made, then that's why we're doing some of these trade scenarios, okay? Let's go to the next trade scenario. All right, Joe, Ivan Rappaport reporting to you. I have exclusive breaking news to you. We have a blockbuster trade in the works, right? This is going down right now. It is happening. The Cleveland Browns have acquired Ezekiel Elliott, all right? Now, this is an all-in move, no doubt, by John Dorsey and the Cleveland Browns. Just when you thought that this offense couldn't get more stacked with Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield, and all these guys, Njoku at tight end, and now you put in Ezekiel Elliott into this. This is an all-in move for the division, and it'll keep them competitive there and instant Super Bowl contenders. All right, so this is a big move by the Titans, and this is something that John Dorsey would do. He pulled the trigger. What did they give up? They gave up a first-round pick and running back Nick Chubb. All right, so running backs, they had a plethora of them there in Cleveland. You had Nick Chubb, Hunt, Duke Johnson still on board there. Now they bring in Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt when he comes back from suspension. This is going to be an explosive Cleveland Browns team. Cowboys, they get the first-round pick there. And Nick Chubb, who a second-round pick just a year ago. So very good for the Cowboys. I don't think the fall-off is that big, but they're going to have to roll with what they have. They do have a good stable of backs now with Chubb, Morris, Tony Pollard, and the rest of the guys there. So we'll see how this shapes out for the Cowboys 2019 season. But very big move. Cleveland Browns all in. All right. Back to you.
All right, so with the Cleveland Browns, this would almost be a dream scenario for the Cleveland Browns and Ezekiel Elliott. You stay in Ohio, that's where you play your football. Has a lot of fans there, obviously, and like I said, this would be an all-in thing. All the chips are in on this, right? That tough division there, the AFC North, Pittsburgh, Ravens, Cincinnati not so much, but the Browns, I mean, you know, they're making that would be a bold move there. Okay, let's go to the final trade scenario.
All right, Joe, Ivan Rappaport reporting to you here. I have exclusive blockbuster explosive news here for you. This is something that has been rumored. You know, previously the Cowboys, you know, there was a rumor a few years ago that the Cowboys wanted to trade Tony Romo for J.J. Watt, a player-for-player swap. That was a rumor. It didn't happen. But this one here has indeed happened. This is going to send Ezekiel Elliott to the Houston Texans. All right, so huge move by the Texans. Nobody saw this coming. Now, the Texans, they got rid of the GM. So this might have been spearheaded by Bill O'Brien. We don't know. Or could have been from, you know, the new owner, Cal McNair. So interesting to see what happens there. You know, when you don't have a GM here, you kind of do one of these all-in moves. Now, they're still looking at to get Jadeveon Clowney extended, but they did have the cap space to make this move. Ezekiel Elliott. And this seems to be a piece that the Texans really have been missing for a couple of seasons now. They wanted to match up and pair up an elite running back with Deshaun Watson. And now you have Watson, Hopkins, Fuller, Kute, Ezekiel Elliott. This division is going to be tough, but the Texans are all in on this one. You know, they put in Ezekiel with Deshaun Watson. This is going to be an explosive, you know, team this coming season for the Texans. Now, the Cowboys, what did they get? They got a first-round pick from the Texans, and they picked up linebacker Benardrick McKinney. Okay, so a linebacker, but not really, because the Cowboys had interest in Benardrick McKinney when he came out during the draft out of Mississippi State. Very physical. Cowboys, you know, worked him out during the draft process. Hand in the ground, defensive end. He's a 6'4", 250 player. So they like him as an edge, you know, defensive end. Cowboys, you know, looking to turn that defensive end position. They need more. They need some youth, and they're getting him on the cheap. So very good move by the Cowboys. Plus a first-round pick. They're going to roll with Morris, Tony Pollard, and Mike Weber and the rest of the guys there. So it's going to be an interesting season for the Cowboys. But they did bolster up that defense. So very interesting news here out of Houston and the DFW area. Back to you, Joe.
All right, so in this scenario, the Houston Texans, they step up. They're without a GM. So could the Cowboys possibly take advantage of this situation? In that case, you know, Cal McNair is the GM there, taking over for Robert McNair, who, you know, passed away here recently. Rest in peace. And Benardrick McKinney, this is a player the Cowboys had interest. They were almost going to draft him if, you know, depending on how the board fell, and they worked him out as a defensive end. So this trade would make a lot of sense, you know, in that regard. Okay, now just to be clear, because I know this will happen in the comments. All right, these are just trade scenarios. I am not advocating that we do trade Ezekiel Elliott. You know, I'm hoping that we do, in fact, you know, reach some sort of agreement with Ezekiel Elliott and he can stay here at least for another contract and help this team get to the Super Bowl. Because I've said this in my other video, the Cowboys don't get to the Super Bowl without Ezekiel Elliott. All right, and I still believe that. I think if they were to do any of these trades, you know, they'll be very competitive. But you know, you're gonna have some fall off there at the running back position. All right, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes. What do you guys think? Do you think the Cowboys, if Ezekiel Elliott is dug in, Stephen Jones and the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, they're dug in, and he starts to miss games? All right, now the whole thing about August 6th and all that other crap, forget about that. Forget about that deadline there. That's not a deadline for Ezekiel Elliott. He's not going to show up, okay? Because all that does is give him an extra year of free agency. In his mind, he still has 2 years, so he can. That means nothing for him. Now, it would mean something for like a Yannick Ngakoue. He would need to show up because he would lose that free agency. But Ezekiel is not in that position, so no, that August 6th deadline means nothing for Ezekiel Elliott. this thing can go on all the way. I think to week 10 or something like that. I think at that point he has to show up to, you know, get some sort of pay, you know, get a paycheck out of that. But these fines are going to start to pile up. All right, and do you get him back? Will he be rusty? Ezekiel Elliott has traditionally been a slow starter, so this will be interesting to see how this affects him. Working out in Cabo and the beach and this and that, it's not the same thing. We saw that whenever he was out with the whole Roger Goodell crap there. He did the same thing. Looked good physically, but it just is not the same thing. And that season, it took Ezekiel Elliott several games to get into gear. Okay, how does this affect Jason Garrett and all that? I think Jason Garrett has to win no matter what with what he has. You just feel that some of the comments that Jerry Jones has said about it whenever he's been asked about Jason Garrett's contract, he's kind of been, you know, he's kind of been beating around the bush and not really saying anything about it. In previous seasons, he's our coach, we're moving forward, a contract extension for him, but that's it. You know, it's Super Bowl or bust for Jason Garrett, you can tell that. And a part of this thing with the contracts is, you know, if Jason Garrett doesn't get this team to the Super Bowl and they get rid of Jason Garrett, who is going to be the coach? Who would take over? Would it be Chris Richard? If that's the case, are you going to have Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott? Are you going to have that secondary built the way you have built it for Chris Richard, or do you let him walk and you have all these tall, big you know, cornerbacks that don't really fit the mold of your next defensive coordinator? So the Cowboys, this is going to be a very, very interesting season for us, no doubt. There's going to be a lot of drama. We already know that. But it's what makes Cowboys football one of the funnest teams to watch in all sports, because we have it all. We have the big stars. We have the big star owner. Stephen Jones is coming to his own. He's becoming a sort of a character in this whole thing. You know, just a very... I mean, you just have a lot of very interesting characters in this organization, top to bottom, fans, everybody. It's just a fun team to follow, and that's why we love these guys. But let me know what you guys think. Hit like on this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun making this video. I had a lot of fun. I came up with the idea, you know, to try to have some fun with it, but to be informative as well, and just to throw around some ideas, you know. And like I said, I'm not advocating that we trade them, but if things come push to shove and that's going to be an option, these teams, like I said, would be legitimate trade partners, cap space, you know, the first round picks, players that the Cowboys would be interested in, that they know, you know, they wouldn't just be getting these players out of nowhere. Okay, so interesting all the way around. But continue to like, subscribe, and share, guys. I'll see you for the next video, guys. Peace.